Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Kirsten. It is an exciting day today. My name is Chapin Spencer, Director of Public Works, and I want to welcome you to the new Main Street. Looking good, huh? Today you're going to hear from a number of community leaders who shaped Main Street and what this generational project means for our future. First, some quick facts. This is our hallmark Main Street, connecting I-189, UVM, downtown, the train station, the waterfront. However, it was simply on borrowed time. Let's start as deep as possible, 30 feet underground. There's a ravine sewer built out of brick and stone from 150 years ago that put adjacent buildings and Main Street at risk of significant unplanned emergency breaks and repairs. Yes, this infrastructure was built during the reconstruction of the Civil War. Coming a little higher up, 8 feet underground, the city's water main had sections up to 140 years old that were at high risk of failure. And yes, those sections were constructed the time the Brooklyn Bridge was opened. Come up to ground level, 2/3 of the space between building face to building face was simply asphalt, largely for parking of cars. The remaining space was uneven sidewalks and trees struggling in poor soils. Today, look at Main Street now. This $36 million project was completed on time and on budget. Where before about 60% of the space was simply asphalt, today 60% of the space is used for wider sidewalks, a cycle track, public art, outdoor vending, stormwater improvements, and so much more. We, of course, have a brand new 4-foot diameter modern sewer pipe bypassing the ravine sewer, and it serves as the foundation for future development, housing that you'll hear soon. All new water mains providing reliable service to residents and businesses, and stormwater to protect Lake Champlain. Top to bottom, this street is now a resilient cornerstone of our downtown for decades to come. I'm glad you're excited about that, because I'm pretty excited too. And with that, I want to invite up the mayor, Emma Mulvaney-Stanak, who has been helping to keep this project on track and deliver it successfully. So come on up, Mayor Emma Mulvaney-Stanak.
All right. I love how Chapin gets excited about these things. There's a lot of things to be excited about lately, and Chapin and the DPW team in particular have been bringing some pretty epic projects to conclusion, and I'm incredibly proud to stand up here with Chapin, his whole team. And by the way, there's so many city staff I can see out here in the audience. Would you mind raising your hand if you're a city staffer in any of our departments? And folks who look around, look at these amazing people who serve our city, truly. Because there are so many departments that have been part of this particular project, our great street, Main Street, keeping it on track, keeping it going, adapting, among so many other things. I also want to obviously welcome all of you here. This is a community project, and I'm so glad when people come out to see their community, their Burlington, do something epic and get it to the finish line. So welcome to all of you for being here, and I'm so glad we have nice weather for today as well. I also want to acknowledge we have Councilor Laura Sanchez-Parkinson, who's over that way, who represents this portion of the city on City Council right now. Thank you for being here with her great kiddos. We have former Mayor Murrow Weinberger here as well. These are always baton passing kind of projects, so thanks for being here. Am I missing any other city councilors? All right. I don't want them to be mad at me later that I missed them. So if they're here, I really appreciate their partnership always in these big projects. So today marks the day so many of us have been waiting for, and I am so used to talking over loud things on this street because I have known no other city since being mayor because my office is right up there. But today marks the day so many of us have been waiting for, the completion of the Great Street Main Streets project. And I am really so truly excited to join with all of you today to celebrate the beginning of this new chapter for our downtown. The Great Street Main Streets project serves as the cornerstone for a vibrant, healthy 21st century and is a major investment in the future of our community. This project is about more than just new sidewalks and street improvements. It's about creating a safer, more welcoming, and more vibrant Burlington and Main Street for everyone. Whether you're walking, whether you're biking, taking transit, like the bus that was queued up right behind me really well, whether it's about shopping or dining or working or even visiting Burlington. This project includes a modern sewer system bypassing the 160-year-old Review sewer. There's, believe it or not, something older than the Champlain Parkway, our sewer system here. This created a new literal foundation for more housing and modern commercial development, which we now know as the Post Apartments around the corner, a new space for our VFW local. It's really, and a new space for our Community Justice Center as well. This has also included, and we're standing on it, wider sidewalks and shorter crossings to enhance the downtown experiences for families and visitors. We have more trees. Do you notice? Either way, we have more trees on this street. We have more gardens and subsurface stormwater infiltration help to protect our environment. And we've enhanced pedestrian lighting, public art, I mean, come on, right? Public art. And just a word on the public art. I mean, if you go up and down Main Street now, we have so much more, this brings vitality to this street and visual appeal. This is such an important part that can often be under-resourced in a city because this is just as important, frankly, around the livability aspects of Burlington than a sidewalk or tree for that matter. Thank you. Yeah. All right. So public art, we have outdoor seating and we have a protected bike lane, ensuring Burlington's Main Street remains Vermont's Main Street, open and welcoming to everyone. I want to offer a huge thank you, truly huge thank you to the residents, to the businesses, to the property owners, to the commuters, to the visitors who've shown remarkable patience and resilience throughout this construction. We know that projects can be quite disruptive. We know that your support literally made this possible. And this was truly a moment of being all in it together. I also want to recognize the dedicated city staff, the engineers, the contractors, the utility partners, and the state and federal partners whose collaboration and hard work brought this vision to life. This was a true cross-department moment to make sure that this effort proceeded for this city. And we all adapted, we all problem solved together, and we literally got it done, which I'm so proud of today. A brief word, Chapin Spencer, y'all, who you just heard from, talk about some impossible projects that this man has helped us steward through. He has such a can-do attitude. It takes a lot to get this guy down, and he truly was so in it. Literally, there were trenches here. He was literally, I don't know if he were in the trenches, but he was on the trenches, around the trenches, really steering this forward and working in strong partnership with Alnasrawi, who's now our CEDO director. She was running the marketplace for parts of this project, working diligently with our business community to make sure people were informed and finding points of engagement so we could adapt. Doreen Kraft, who you'll hear from him in a moment, our BCA director, making sure that this public art vision and all the other creativity around this big project were thought of. But we also were, of course, supported by our police department, our fire department, even our library, even our Department of Finance and Administration to find the money and the creativity to get this thing done. The Great Street Main Street project is a generational investment in Burlington's future. It's helping to ensure our city remains livable, welcoming, sustainable, with room to grow for housing and a strong and safe downtown. As Main Street emerges renewed, we look forward to the next chapter full of joy and community. Thank you again so much for being here today with us. Let's celebrate this accomplishment together and enjoy the wonderful things that Burlington has to offer. Thanks so much, y'all.
Thank you, Mayor. I think you brought as much enthusiasm to this as I did, so nice job. Next, we're going to hear from Wahl, the Executive Director of the Flynn Center for Performing Arts. Despite some more challenging times of construction, the show at the Flynn did go on. And I just want to thank the Flynn for that perseverance. Come on up, Jay Wahl.
Thank you. I'm really honored to be here. Good afternoon. I'm going to take these off. I'm Jay Wahl. I'm the executive director of the Flynn across the street. Thank you, Mayor Mulvaney-Stanak, for your support. And as she said, anyone who here works for the city, a big thank you from the team at the Flynn. We can't do our work without your partnership and your support every day, and we're grateful to you. Thank you, Chapin Spencer at DPW, and Laura Wheelock, wherever she is, who moved mountains with this project, and we've been grateful. I am personally grateful for your partnership. Really, everyone has been part of this for this new face of Main Street. So first of all, I have to thank and be thrilled for the wonderful new crosswalk. It's right in front of the Flynn leading to City Hall Park. It makes such a difference in the safety and well-being of our audiences and the many pedestrians who come downtown. I want to give a shout out to the care that everyone at SD Ireland took to make this work happen while the Flynn was in full operation. Yeah, give it up for them. Construction at all times of year is not easy, and they showed up. Throughout the construction since early 2024, the Flynn hosted hundreds of events and bringing about 340,000 people downtown to attend Flynn programs. It's critically important to recognize that the arts are a significant engine in our city, bringing both people here and driving our economic vitality. When audiences come downtown, they have dinner, they shop, they hang out, they make life amazing, actually. We create jobs, we make downtown exciting and welcoming, and this is in addition to the myriad ways in which we build community and provide opportunities for social cohesion and empathy for our neighbors and ourselves. With these important improvements to Main Street, we not only have a healthier and more vibrant downtown, we have a new sense of possibility right here on Main Street. This is a truly public space where the arts and civic life can thrive fully, both inside the Flynn and right outside our doors. So on behalf of all of us at the Flynn, really, we thank everyone involved in the Great Streets Main Street project for bringing us a deeply powerful sense of place and a more beautiful Burlington. Thank you. The Flynn is proud to be included. Thank you, Mayor, for including us. And everyone enjoy this beautiful new place. Thank you.
What a team, what a team. All right. Jay, that was fabulous. I have to tell you, there's not many weeks that go by where I don't walk through the doors of the Flynn, and now I'm going to have an even better way to get there thanks to that crosswalk. I agree. Next up is an amazing partner, the Champlain Housing Trust, which really was able to take this project and do something spectacular. Without spoiling the news, I'm going to invite Miranda Lescaze up to tell us about it. Come on up.
Thank you, Chapin, and hello, everybody. As Chapin said, I'm Miranda Lescaze. I'm the Director of Real Estate Development at the Champlain Housing Trust. And at CHT, we are thrilled to have recently completed a new 5-story building in downtown Burlington called Post Apartments, right around the corner there on South Winooski Avenue, in partnership with our co-developer Evernorth. 48 people have moved into the 38 permanently affordable apartments on the upper floors. The ground floor holds 2 community spaces, one a brand new home for the VFW Post 782 who came to us seeking to redevelop their property, and the second, offices for the Chittenden County Community Justice Center. These permanently affordable apartments are homes for people working and living downtown. Some examples of the households who moved in: they're working at City Market, they're working at Ken's Pizza, at Sodexo, at Lunig's, at Champlain College, at Farmhouse Tap and Grill, at Hen of the Wood, and at Courtyard by Marriott. And those are just some of those households. Some of these apartments are providing homes for people who have been homeless. 9 of the apartments are designated for the formerly homeless. Apartments are for homes are for veterans. 5 apartments are set aside for veterans. And some are seniors living on fixed incomes. We are appreciative of the public and private sources of funding that made these new homes possible, including federal funds through the City of Burlington and the Vermont Housing and Conservation Board, Senator Sanders' office, and the Vermont Housing Finance Agency. State funds, again through VHCB, and for environmental cleanup through the Vermont Agency of Commerce and Community Development, and local funds from the city's Housing Trust Fund. In addition to funding, the Post Apartments project would not have been feasible, as Chapin mentioned, without the city's abandonment of the historic ravine sewer. This sewer ran under a corner of the property, and its location and the fill around it presented a challenge to building a 5-story building. The city's Great Streets project, which planned a new sewer line to replace that historic ravine sewer, and CHT's Post Apartments project were in close coordination throughout our simultaneous projects. Rerouting the sewer line from under a corner of the building enabled CHT to construct these 38 apartments, which are desperately needed in the city, the county, and the region. So thank you to the mayor, to Chapin, and to Laura Wheelock, as was was given before, and to others at DPW, and to CEDO staff. This type of generational infrastructure project the city took on unlocks housing development that would not have been possible otherwise. I want to give, since I have the mic here, a big shout out to Kirsten Merriman Shapiro. Kirsten managed this construction project. She's a current CHT employee, but she used to work for the city. And this was a project of hers, a twinkling in her eyes, back as 2011. We're appreciative of the city's collaboration and commitment to completing this needed upgrade, and thank you to all who made it happen. Thanks.
Miranda nailed it and beat me to the punch, Kirsten Merriman Shapiro. The partnership on the front end with you as a planner in CEDO, envisioning this and then delivering it at CHT was a real gift to us all. In addition to all the basics, the modern sewer system, the housing it enables, Main Street is about placemaking and providing a sense of place. It's often said that we shape our places, and yet then we are shaped by those places. And I'm pleased that we at Public Works were able to have the non-traditional partnership so deeply with Burlington City Arts to include these stunning, stunning works of art by some of the artists here today. And I want to invite Executive Director of Burlington City Arts, Doreen Kraft, up to tell us about it. Welcome, Doreen.
So just a tiny bit off script for a moment. I love living in a city where we get excited about the size of our sewer pipe. I love it. I also love that it took years to come to an understanding of what a great street really is. Because we had endless debates of what if we couldn't make a great street? What if we couldn't afford to get there? What would a good street look like? And we fought and we fought and we fought to make sure that we could get this a great street in Burlington. And so what you're witnessing took a lot of courage, a lot of prowess, a lot of dedication of dozens and dozens of people, including all of the department heads in the city of Burlington, who are a ferocious team of visionaries. I want to thank them. So, it's wonderful to be here with you to celebrate the completion of the Great Streets, the Main Street project, and with it 4 extraordinary new works of public art that have turned Main Street into an open-air gallery, making transformative art experience more accessible to everyone. Burlington has reimagined one of our city's most important corridors and shown what happens when we think about infrastructure as more than just roads and sidewalks. Through the public art commissioned as part of this project, we've created a new standard where art and culture are not afterthoughts, but a cornerstone of our city's values. When we invest in artists as part of our both public and private development, we're choosing to invest in creating spaces that inspire and welcome people. Spaces that you don't just pass through, places you connect with, you return to, and you remember. We ensure that as our city grows and we move into the future, it continues to tell the unique story of the people who live here. At Burlington City Arts, we believe that artists are essential to building great cities and strong communities. They help us see our city and ourselves in completely new ways. They challenge us, they inspire us, and they let us see ourselves in the world around us, reminding us of where we belong. Today we're celebrating 4 remarkable new works, and each one tells a different story about Burlington. Lake Bone by Nancy Winship Milliken at the intersection of Main and Pine suspends a full-size tree, treated to look like driftwood, above a pollinator meadow, transforming a city sidewalk into a reflection on ecology, history, and environmental stewardship. It's an extraordinary piece. Thank you to so many of you not named today, Vermont Railroad, et cetera, that made this possible. It was dozens and dozens. The tremendous courage, I would say, it took SD Ireland to believe with the engineers that this was actually possible. Woohoo! Yes, thanks. Anthology by Lydia Kern at the edge of City Hall Park is a 12-foot arch made from hundreds of preserved flowers suspended in a multicolored arch that were gathered with community participation, creating a poignant monument to collective memory. Magnus by Wow House in front of the courthouse right across the street brings some playfulness to Main Street, with 3 oversized snails, complete with glow-in-the-dark trails to be used as benches. Inspired by fossils found in our region, these sculptures invite us to slow down and appreciate each other. Right beside us here, at the corner of Church and Main, Block by Block by Noah Yance celebrates the creativity and collaboration that define Burlington. Its colorful, interlocking forms remind us that our city is strongest when different people, different cultures, and experiences come together to create something larger than ourselves. Just like we've done with Great Streets, the Main Street project, together these sculptures are helping to make Main Street unlike any other place. They create moments of wonder during an ordinary walk downtown. They give residents and visitors reasons alike to pause, to gather, and to see Burlington with fresh eyes. They are lasting investments in our civic life and powerful expressions as we value our community. Public art belongs to everyone. It meets people where they are, where they're walking, where they're biking, whether they're going to work or heading to school or just visiting Burlington for the very first time. Every day, these works will impact the lives of countless people in both ways large and small. I'm deeply grateful to the artists, the fabrication teams, the community partners whose visions brought these installations to life. I want to single out Colin Storrs, BCA's public art manager. Where is he? He's hiding, as usually. Never wants to be in front of the camera. He's going to have to become a photographer, then he can be behind the camera. But Colin, your dedication, your care, your tireless work that brought this project to fruition. Thank you to our whole city team, to our friends at the Department of Public Works, to the Mayor's Office, and especially the team at SD Ireland. Thank you. We've all made a lot of new friends over this last, how many years, right? Yeah. We have appreciations that go very deep. So as we celebrate the completion of Main Street today, let us also celebrate the vision it represents a city that understands that art is essential to economic vitality, to civic pride, and to the quality of our lives. A city that continues to make space for artists to dream big and to shape the spaces we share. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Doreen. Very powerful words there. Now that you've heard about the investments along Main Street, we want to talk about the investment really in the larger downtown community and our overall community. Our final speaker to talk about the economic vitality of our Queen City is Carl Alnasrawi, who's the Director of the Community and Economic Development Office. Come on up, Carl.
Hi, thank you. I'll keep this brief because it's hot and we should all be walking this street and enjoying this art. So I won't take up too much of your time. One doesn't always think of large infrastructure projects involving sewer and water mains as being tied to economic development. This project has not just been about sewer ravines and water mains. It's about creating streetscapes that are inviting for residents, tourists, creating a thoroughfare in our great downtown, and providing local businesses with amenities they need to make their operations successful. It is worth noting that this project was substantially funded by tax increment financing, or TIF. This financing tool has become an integral part of helping municipalities build their capital stack that they need to undertake projects, transformative projects like these. With the ability to borrow against future tax earnings through the support of the state, we have been able to create this great street, which serves as a beautiful new thoroughfare for us. Lastly, and most importantly, I would be remiss if I did not mention our amazing local business community, both on Main Street as well as the surrounding area, who were greatly and inevitably impacted by this project. I want to thank all of our local business owners for helping us manage and be creative about the impacts of this project, for understandably clearly expressing your frustrations with us, which we very much understood, and for sticking with us through this absolutely generational project. As Director Spencer mentioned, 60% of the space on this street is now allocated to pedestrians, cyclists, and what's important to me in my department, businesses, who can now spill out, seasonally increase their revenue-producing space, and also participate in events and festivals that we will now be able to hold on this street with the extra space that's now allocated to us and our pedestrians and our visitors. And it adds to the entire vibrancy of our downtown. I'm going to leave you all with that, and thank you all so much for being here today.
All right. So, we have honored so many people here today, and yet we haven't quite finished. This was a community barn-raising endeavor, and I do want to add to the list by putting a few more names and faces into the pot. As Director Alnasrawi said, this project was not easy on any of us, but the businesses in the community that continued to show up, be engaged, tell us what they needed, and their ability to persist with us was the greatest gift. So please give the businesses and the community a round of applause. In addition, the Vermont Economic Progress Council, a number of people have mentioned the tax increment financing here, cannot be understated. The ability to use TIF, which enabled us to deliver this $36 million project with very little general fund dollars and no tax increase to residents, was a remarkable success. And thank you to the Vermont Economic Progress Council. In addition, the hidden challenge on many projects like the Champlain Parkway we just opened is soils. Contaminated soils can stop a project cold. But thanks to a partnership with the Department of Environmental Conservation and the use of petroleum cleanup funds, we were able to remediate the contaminated soils and keep the project moving. In addition, other state partners include the State Downtown Transportation Fund that funded many amenities like the bike racks and the bus shelters. Speaking of bus shelters, have you seen a lot of buses going by during this press conference? Thanks to GMT, and we have their staff here and their wonderful bus over here to check out. Bus service now is complete up and down the entire length of Main Street, each direction, every 15 minutes. Give it up for GMT. That's the kind of coordination we need to make transit viable for more people. The design, let's move into the contractors. The design team, VHB, Dufresne Group, an agency. The financial consultants to help us with TIF, White and Burke. The contractor, SD Ireland, and their many subs. And the resident engineer, EIV. Give it up for our contractors. Special shout out, I see Scott Ireland, Scott Magnus here. I know you lost a number of nights of sleep on this project. You're 30 feet down trying to bypass the ravine sewer in inclement weather and needs of Burlington and the businesses. We had a lot of tough conversations together. But the honesty and the forthrightness to get out the other side was tremendously appreciated, and so I say thank you. All right, we touched on many of the city folks and we hit many of them. Let me add a few more. There are legislative bodies. We talked about the City Council, but Burlington's Public Works Commission, Church Street Marketplace Commission, the Walk Bike Council, and the BCA Public Arts Committee really hit a home run, guiding us at every step of the way. We've talked about every department contributing to this project. I think that might be an overstatement. I don't know if the airport was involved because I don't believe we accommodated a landing strip as part of the project. But every other department really walked with us every step of the way. At DPW, I need to call out Laura Wheelock, Maddie Sender, and Rob Goulding as the tech services team that led this project. But it was more than them. It was Water Resources, Division Director Megan Moyer and your team, Jackie Asperti of Parking and Traffic, and Lee Perry, Division Director of Maintenance. We all pitched in to figure out how to get this done, and a big thank you to the entire team at DPW. Give them a round of applause. I'm almost done. The Burlington School District City and Lake program. Did you know high school kids participated in the design of this project? That is how amazing our community is. The kids, as part of City and Lake, got together, met with us early on, and informed the design of this project. We invited them here today. I know most of them were on vacation, as they should be, but incredible appreciation to them. And also, we've recognized that this has not been a quick project. The leadership of not just the current mayor, Emma Mulvaney-Stanak, but the former mayor, Merle Weinberger, and the former mayor, Bob Kiss, who kicked off the TIF effort on this corridor, need to be recognized. Big applause for them. So, this list demonstrates that we pulled together as a community to get this generational project done. Now, thanks to all the businesses along the corridor and a few amazing city event planners, we have 2 days of music, tours, special promotions to recognize our creative accomplishment. And what a day to celebrate. So I welcome your family to join mine over the next 2 days to experience the welcoming spirit of Burlington's new Main Street. So, Main Street is open for business. For members of the media, we are happy to answer questions and do interviews after this, given the hot day. In the long run, we'll save the group Q&A, but we will stay on after for interviews. And I want to ask Sambu Takata, are you ready? All right, can you all help me count down from 5 to launch the Main Street Block Party? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hit it. Thank you, everyone.
Good to see you again, Charlie. It's awesome the Town Meeting TV covers events like this. This is a happy day for the city, a long time coming. In a lot of ways, this goes back to around 2015 when there was early planning done for what we called a Great Streets Initiative. One of the principles of Great Streets was that streets are actually, they're often not thought of this way. We think of them just like transportation corridors, but it's important to think of them as outdoor rooms, spaces that are just as important as parks for the life of a city, and that a lot of thought needs to go into making them as attractive and appealing as possible. And so I think Main Street, more than any other street in the city now, represents that, and that along it we will have this wonderful street trees that provide shade and protection for the streets. If you look at St. Paul Street now, you'll see how quickly these irrigated trees will come in, will grow and thrive in just a few years. They don't look like it now, but just in a short handful of years, these will be very substantial trees for Main Street. There's a bike path now that really makes good on this vision of building a new network, transportation network for people to get around the city on bikes and scooters and other electric vehicles. And the art, of course, is a great addition to the downtown as well. Something we did after we created Main Street, the Great Streets program, is we passed a ordinance so that 1% of public works projects get spent on public art now, and that should continue into the future. A lot of people don't know that, and I think when they hear big numbers being spent on art, it confuses them. But I think I've seen this happen. When people understand it's just 1% of the budget, they feel a lot better about it. So hopefully this gets that word out. So thank you for covering it again, and it's an honor to be part of this. Thanks.
This is a great day for Burlington, Vermont. This is a great project. It's been in the works for a number of years. Big celebration all around, and we're very happy to see that the project is now complete.
We are GMT. We are here to celebrate the opening of Main Street Burlington. We are excited to debut our 15-minute service between downtown Burlington and South Burlington's Market Street.
So how often do your buses go on Main Street?
Our buses will pass on Main Street every 15 minutes, so the maximum time anyone will have to wait for a bus is 15 minutes, going to and from South Burlington on routes 1 and 11.
How you doing? I'm Jim Barr, and I decided to come down to the block party for the grand opening of the Great Streets Main Street project. Finally over. Now pedestrians and bikes and cars can all move safely through this corridor. It's just a phenomenal event. I certainly hope that all of you will come down and visit and use this great area.
We're excited to start the Main Street Block Party off with an Artist Talk series. Here with Noah Yance, who created the piece Block by Block. And after this, we're going to meet Wow House at Magnus. And then I'm going to lead the tour through Anthology and Lakebone this afternoon, as both of those artists unfortunately couldn't be here. But I'll hand it off to Noah to get us started.
Okay. Hey guys, I am Noah. I'm the artist, Noah Yance, in case you wanted to know. It's really hot, so I'll keep it brief. Plus, I don't really have a lot to say, so it kind of works out for everybody. Anyway, I live in Richmond, Vermont, which is just up the road, like 20 minutes. Originally I was born in California, then went to New York, and ended up here pre-pandemic, just so you know. So I just want to first thank a bunch of people, because obviously I wouldn't be able to do this artwork without a lot of help and, fortunate events. So first, the city of Burlington for actually redoing the Main Street. That was pretty cool. Made this happen. BCA, obviously, and Colin especially, for actually making it happen too. The fabricators who actually built this awesome thing, which are Flywheel Industrial Arts, based out of Montpelier. Highly recommended. They're amazing. SD Ireland for helping too. My buddy Brian Brush, who helped consult in the beginning, and of course my family, because they allowed me to have the space to do a bunch of stuff that I really shouldn't be doing in my house. So that's great. Just very briefly, why public art? What's so cool about public art? In my opinion, it's amazing because it's free, it's open to the public, it's accessible, and it really, adds and contributes to the space. It really contributes to Burlington. It contributes to whatever space public art is placed into. For local people, it becomes part of the routine. Like, people walk by it all the time. They know they're passing by something. They see it, For visitors, it's like the unexpected little pop-up spot. And I think that's really fun. It's something they can round a corner and see something and be a little bit surprised. And that's really fun. But like I said, overall, it helps to build the character of the city. And I think that's the main benefit of having public art. And that's why I'm so happy that I could participate in this little event and actually make some public art that could contribute to the character of the city. And I think that's really fun. Sorry, let me turn my page.
Where did the concept of the blocks come from? Where did the concept?
Oh, we're getting there.
Okay.
Hold on.
Fine.
I have a lot of. It's brief, but I do have a lot of pages.
Okay.
So a little bit about Burlington. Obviously, if you live here, you know about Burlington. But I'll just give my point of view on it. To the west is the lake. To the east, the mountains. It's the most populous city in Vermont, which is fun. It has all the different neighborhoods, right? It has downtown, it has the new North End, the old North End, the arts area, has UVM, the airport. It also has the lake access, Church Street, obviously, which was, modeled after the Støle. If anyone's familiar with the Støle in Copenhagen, I'm butchering that, but if you're familiar with it, you know what I'm talking about. And just as a reminder, I live in Richmond, so I'm an out-of-towner, so I'm not exactly viewing Burlington, as a local. I'm not lost. I can't see the forest through the trees. It's not that kind of thing. But I'm also not so far away that I'm viewing it from 30,000 feet. I like to think of it like I'm in a field next to the forest and I can see it from my picnic table. So it's like I have a unique perspective. I mean, everyone has a unique perspective, and that's kind of the fun of just, living anywhere, not necessarily Burlington. But I do enjoy visiting Burlington, coming here with, my wife and my family, going to the shops, enjoying the restaurants, which also Richmond has some really good restaurants. Everyone should visit too. The Echo Center. And especially, I think one thing that's really fun about coming to Burlington is seeing the diverse set of faces that, you don't necessarily see in a lot of other parts of Vermont, which is nice. So I think that's in large part the sort of basis for the sculpture. Burlington, from my point of view, is one of the cultural hubs of Vermont, and it's a place where a bunch of different people come together. Whether they're students or immigrants, refugees, creatives, makers, artists, or just everyday people. Everyone wants to live, or well, not everyone, but a lot of people want to live here, and it's a very nice place to live. I mean, CNN just said it was like the 6th best town to visit in America, so that's cool, I guess. Anyway, so all of these disparate things coming together is sort of the basis for this. And while everyone might be sort of everyone might be separated sort of on the micro level, sort of in one particular location, or identifying as like this or that, or working in a particular sector or profession, if you zoom out a bit, obviously the blocks sort of become neighborhoods. The ideologies become sort of a common ground for organizations and gatherings, and the expertises that people have sort of give rise to collective creativity and development. And despite the lines that sort of divide us individually, whether they're physical lines or mental lines, it's like the city itself can serve as the geographic anchor and provide the foundation for which everyone can exist together. I mean, it sounds a bit cliche, and it is, and that's fine, but I sincerely believe that together people can create something that's greater than the sum of its parts. And so that's essentially the basis for what we're sort of going for here. And I'm not saying that every community should be like Burlington, but what I am saying is that Burlington has a lot of amazing parts that should be celebrated and recognized. And so if we talk about the actual physical design of things, I spent a lot of time sort of thinking about different forms that might illustrate the concepts I just mentioned, sort of metaphorically and physically. And I wanted to make forms that were both playful and memorable. And so about me, like my artist style, I'm kind of like a mix between an artist and an engineer. Like I don't do traditional painting, but I also my background is in architecture, so I kind of have that for what it, take it for what it is. And generally, when I'm doing artwork, I like to design in modular parts, which is really what this is. And also, at the time when I started designing this, when this brief came out, I only had one child, back in late 2022, and now I have 3. Anyway, so my kid at the time I was trying to introduce her to Lego blocks, and I was like, yes, that seems like a really good basis for making something fun. And so I wanted to make something that would work on both the micro and the macro scale. And so, if you get really later, after I'm done, whenever that is, if you get really close, you can sort of look at the different blocks and appreciate the different details that went into it. I think part of the brief was to sort of recognize the idea that, there's the lake down there, we're in the city, and then up there is the mountains, right? So if you look really close, there are a couple lake blocks that are sort of abstractly recognized here. There's a little city block here, and then up top is a little nod to the mountains that are sort of integrated into the overall forms, and also these fun little other blocks. These things I love. They don't necessarily represent anything, but they're really fun. And it gave the fabricators a really hard time. It was great. So it's, where was I here? Yeah, and also I think one thing that's really fun about it is that all these little dividing lines that sort of go into it kind of abstractly represent like a map, which again, it's kind of like the city coming together, which I think is a nice little detail. And it's made out of, just material-wise, in case anyone's curious, it's made out of stainless steel and painted with just a sort of generic durable outdoor rated paint. So for maintenance reasons, but we don't have to get into that. Anyway, this one is made out of 80 different blocks, plus a little base block. And then if you walk up the street later, you can see a bunch of little ones that are made of about 16 blocks, 6, 6, and 4. The little figures, which you'll walk, if you walk up the street and see them, it's sort of meant to link everything together, right? It shares the same obvious like blocks and physical language, the same vernacular of all that. And it's sort of, my goal was to help it build a continuity throughout Main Street, which I hope it does. And it's also a reminder that communities like this don't exist in isolation. They're, they have little satellite cities. They're people like me who still come into the city, but I don't necessarily live here. And that's, if you extend the metaphor, that's kind of what that is. And a little detail down here is a little bunch of electronic blocks or electronic bits that actually make this whole piece illuminate at night. Like, it's a very subtle illumination. If you ever happen to be here at night, you can see that the cracks sort of illuminate. And it's really fun because it sort of reminds you that, like a city, like maybe it looks one way, it's very stoic and, is perceived one way during the day, but at nighttime it still lives and it still goes on and it has that pulse and has that energy still. And, abstractly, that's still kind of represented with that. And so I encourage you to come back at night and just kind of see the lights glow. There's a little bit of a temperature sensor in there that sort of depicts the temperature in a very abstract way, which I won't really get into. You can ask me later. May or may not work. It's always a work in progress, so I don't know. We'll see. It's public art. I don't know. Okay. Yeah, and just a little bit about the fabrication process and the design process. Like I said, my background's in architecture, and I primarily do all my design stuff like in the computer and digitally, which is really, it's fun. Like, I'll still hand sketch to get out an initial idea, but when I'm coming up with the design, I'll tend to sort of model it in the computer. And that's why I was working with fabricators for this particular piece, because as much as I'd love to weld, I don't know how, and my family wouldn't let me put a welding setup in my garage. But one advantage of doing things in the computer is that I don't have to deal with physics, right? Because it's just the computer. And so that lets me leave the connection details up in the air. Anyway, so I handed it off to Flywheel Industrial Arts out of Montpelier, and they, I think, did a really fantastic job actually putting it together. It was a fun process because I'm very much in the mindset of sort of stay in your lane. Yes, I'm the artist and I design the overall aesthetic and look and everything like that, but I'm not a welder, so I don't know how to weld. I don't know how to make connections that someone could fabricate. So when it came to actually building it, I'm like, you guys sort of figure it out. And we, I think, had a really good relationship where we could work together, like come up with solutions to like a bunch of different problems. We came up with solutions that I think everyone was happy with. And I really do think it came together really nicely. And I'm really happy with it, and I know the fabricators are super happy with it. I think that's a win. Hopefully the city and the public at large is also happy with it. And I think that's, again, to extend the metaphor of sort of, disparate things coming together. I think this is a good representation, on a small scale of exactly that process in terms of like, I'm the artist, maybe I came up with the design. I had to work with BCA to sort of do some logistical things. I had to work with the fabricators, that way they could actually come up with things. There were a lot of people involved, but together, like we came together, came up with a thing and actually executed it, and hopefully, it creates something nice for the whole town. And I'll just close with this. I think what's going to be fun about this, piece of public art is that it will change in a lot of ways, right? So whether it changes with the seasons, the different lighting elements, whether it's a sunny day or a rainy day or snowy day, like it's going to change the way it looks. and that's going to be fun. That's going to be great. It's also going to change with people interacting with it, however that may be. I don't know, but that's public art. That's okay. Animals will certainly utilize it. As I noticed the other day when I was installing the lights, there's some additional paint, we'll say, and the occasional snowplow will also interact with it and have fun. But my personal philosophy with public art is that's okay. It's not meant to be necessarily pristine. I don't want it to be damaged, obviously, but it's not meant to be pristine. It's not in a gallery. It's accessible to everybody, and that's great. Because no matter what happens to the art itself, it will always, like, the foundation of the art will always remain. Like the steel boxes will hopefully always be there. The structure will always be there, and whether it's whether it's meant to be replaced or repaired or repainted, like, things are going to happen. As if any of you remember Mitch Hedberg back in the day, the comedian, he made a joke about escalators. He said, "An escalator can never truly break. It can only become stairs." And so that's kind of how I view this. And so I just want this piece to always be a reminder that it's sort of a symbol of the tapestry of Burlington, like the rich characteristics that make this place so awesome. It makes it a really good place to live in. It makes it a good place to visit. It's a good place to share things, and it's a wonderful place just to remember. And so that's kind of where I want to leave it. So if you have any questions later, feel free to come up and ask, and I encourage you to walk down and see the little guys. Thank you. How many what?
How many layers of paint?
I don't know. I think a couple, three or four layers.
It's all steel?
It's all stainless steel. Yep. So that way, if and when it gets a little ding in it, it hopefully won't rust. It won't rust over. So it can theoretically be easily repaired.
Right over there.
Yeah.
Benches?
There we go. Okay.
Extending your Lego metaphor,
Yeah.
it would be nice if you could pop these guys apart and reassemble it in a different orientation someday.
Yes. I mean.
Mini ones for kids, miniature versions?
So, as I said, like I do a lot of modular artistic work.
You could scale it down?
I could scale it down, yeah. But one thing that's funny is that I noticed as I design these modular things, they end up looking very modular and aesthetically modular, but in reality, it's not modular at all. Like, if you talk to the fabricators, they will tell you it is not easy. Like, they had to sort of come up with a creative way to actually build it. Like, if you look, I know, really close, it's kind of hidden. They did a great job of hiding it, but if you look close, there are rods, but there are connection features where, like, they had to sort of probably plasma cut out a hole so they could reach in and connect things. So it's like, it looks modular, which is great, but it's not modular.
It's not posts and holes.
It's not
like Lego.
It's not like you can just slide it on.
Nice in the sun, seeing the shadows and the outline. I
Oh,
love
yeah.
the spaces, walls.
The cracks.
That's the cracks are really.
Yeah, I mean, the fabricators did a wonderful job actually making the geometry into reality.
Yeah, it's pretty square on. It's pretty square on.
Yeah,
Nice.
it's not
It's
easy.
nice you lean on it too. It's very sturdy.
The fun thing is, I saw the fabricator last night. He started playing it like a drum.
Oh yeah. Oh nice. Wow.
Yeah. So I'm waiting for the first busker to just come out here and.
So was it a competitive thing to be selected for the art on Main Street?
I did have to apply. I think if you want more details on that, Colin's the man for that.
Yeah.
But I did have to apply, and I know there were a bunch of artists, and then we had to sort of go through a finalization process to explain like what our proposals would be. I think it's all online.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when it's like a
Hey everybody, I'm Scott Constable, and this is my wife and partner Alnasrawi Constable, and we're the artist team of Wow House. We're from Northern California, from the Sonoma coast, and we're really honored to be here and really honored to have our Magna sculptures as part of the Main Street redesign and streetscape. And a lot of our work deals with unexpected juxtapositions, often between things like the natural world and the built environment. So these have kind of a leg in each of those. The concept was inspired by the idea that 600 million years ago this was an inland sea, and there was a giant snail, a giant gastropod, saltwater snail that inhabited this area, and it left a lot of fossils around. So you see the spiral pattern that's on these sculptures in fossils and rocks all around Lake Champlain. It was also inspired by the Beaux-Arts architecture in the building behind us, which is the courthouse, and the history of the use of locally quarried granite in the state, in Vermont, kind of all over the country. You see it in cities all over the Northeast. In this building, you can see it in the first course, some of the decorative dressed granite on the balustrades and the stairs. So we were kind of responding to that, to the idea that this Beaux-Arts tradition is still somewhat alive and in motion and being appreciated. So they're designed as seating sculptures, so they're functional, and they kind of encourage people to slow down and treat the street as a place to gather and connect.
There's another secret here is if you come back at night, in the paving there is phosphorescent aggregate, and so these snail trails, which of course snails leave the trails, are integral with the paving, and they will glow at night. So for those of you who've been here and heard the talk, you're the first to know. And that's a fun little, of course, the whole playful element that you spoke about during this talk. I think it's a wonderful feeling that this would be the courthouse, but it's friendly and welcoming, and the whole street itself is indeed this community corridor. It really feels something like that. What we wanted to do was make it, in essence, a gathering place where people would feel it's part of their home. And the courthouse itself, of course, is part of the community in a very important way. So it really feels like it tied it all together in a really fortuitous manner in terms of the location as well. We create public art nationwide, and so I love it touching them. So I encourage everybody to give them a little pat. So we create site-specific work. So truly, this came from dialogue with the community and leaders, and getting a sense of Burlington itself, which of course is such a thriving, vibrant place. So for us, this has been a real honor. Part of the reason we came from California to be here is that we really fell in love with Burlington as well. So I just want to say congratulations on a really vibrant arts program in general. We work with a lot of folks, and to me, this is really a model of what public art can be, of how it can really activate communities. And so we're honored to be a part of that collection. And then also, what? The Quarry. Yeah, Vermont Stone Art were the fabricators, and they are in...
They're in Barrie.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they're in Barrie. And the stone was sourced in a granite vein that is still quarried. I don't know if this one was in Vermont, but it's basically a finger of the same granite quarry that they're still manufacturing.
And the skill, the craftsmanship, again, that was part of this tradition and legacy is embodied in the work itself, which I think is something that's important historically, art historically, culturally, in so many ways. So that was another one of the reasons we were excited to find people who have that capacity. And they started off as very small models, a wooden model, and then it was lofted up to be this large scale. And so they are very skilled artisans, and we were honored to work with them. And let's see, I guess that's it that I can think of. Are there any questions?
What's your process from developing a concept, modeling it out, to connecting with the fabricators?
That varies project to project. In this case, it was a concept that went straight to a model, because it's kind of a tricky thing to for me to draw. So I just made a 3D model out of wood, kind of along the lines of knowing what could be made with a bandsaw, thinking about stone in advance and what a stone quarry could do with a computer-controlled bandsaw. So I knew they could cut a curve on one axis, but not simultaneously on two axes, like a 5-axis router or something like that. So talked to the quarry in advance about what they could actually do, reflected that in the model, and then made a 3D rendering, a digital model that they could use a DXF file and go straight to CNC cutting. So it's this combination of handicraft and technology.
And that's typical of our work, because we'll work with the very advanced technological digital tools, but then it's always grounded in a sense of the hand and testing it in a more visceral way too. So it's sort of a dialogue between those two, which is an unusual thing because a lot of times it's one or the other, and in our case it's usually a hybrid, and it'll vary from project to project depending on the medium and what we're doing.
We did make a full-scale, we made one full-scale mock-up just of these surfaces to test it for ergonomics because people can't sit on it. It's actually really comfortable.
Right. So part of it is also even Scott's knowledge of furniture, which is another thing about ergonomics. Like several of our functional sculptures, part of what you're thinking about is people actually sitting on it. And I just had this experience of sitting and getting a new perspective of the street and the view up the hill. And part of the idea of it's functional is your orientation to the street varies depending on where you're sitting and the time of day and the light. And so we're tuning into both the cultural avenue of the street, but then also the weather and the light. We talked about that with other artwork too. So it'll orient you to your place in the landscape and also to the cityscape.
So when the
When
the fabricators did it, were they working with software to then cut it and shape it?
Yeah, they have.
Okay.
Yes, they have a digital
file.
file.
Give them,
So it's,
and they're
looking down that
machines
street, which I
basically
love.
kind of a big turntable that can move in ways that are controlled by the computer, and then a saw that's stationary. It's a beautiful thing to see if you haven't seen it. It's really interesting because you still.
Thinking of, chiseling.
Yeah, they did hand carve the spirals,
Okay.
but you still have to have deep knowledge of masonry and of how stone works because there's a grain to it.
Even with the digital.
Yeah, you have to know. They were really they selected these stones really carefully based on kind of their knowledge of stone, and they didn't want to have any fissures or weak points. They wanted a consistent grain. They gave us some finish samples, and this was the one that they really recommended. This flame finish, which they thought would age the best, as opposed to something that's got a kind of a gloss to it or a polish to it.
It's all
Yeah. And we love the kind of rough. It seemed to suit the creatureness of it to have it be more kind of tactile,
So was each of these one big boulder?
Yeah, one big block.
They're solid.
They were solid blocks. I think these are like
I don't know, a lot.
1,500 pounds each, something like that.
They weigh a ton.
So do you have photos of all those?
We've documented it.
Yeah.
Sure.
I wonder if that's going to be on the BCA website.
Well, we could try to.
The other thing that's cool is we love collaborating.
The process is so interesting.
Yeah.
I got to see a little bit of it, and it's amazing. The chop down and berries.
Isn't it amazing?
Everyone's excited about it. So it's really a community effort then.
We kind of, sometimes we'll push the envelope a little bit of what they've done before, so they're excited to try something new. Oh, I'm sorry.
There we go. Right up there.
Sometimes they are excited to try something new that they haven't done before, and it becomes kind of like proof of concept. And then they were interested in. They thought, oh, maybe Vermont or Burlington will commission more of these, so we'll use these as prototypes. TBD.
Any other questions that we could answer? I would encourage children to come. I am photographing children especially. Everybody is welcome, and I will be photographing everybody who comes. However, children in particular, one of the things that we do is we photograph children, and then you can sort of gauge your own age based on the children's growth. Over the past couple of years, they grow and you stay the same. So and they really are the future, which is really what we're making this for. So please invite children to come, and we're going to be around for the next couple of days. So we appreciate that.
So could you say the name of the...
Yes. Do you want to...
Say it again.
Okay. So these are this artwork is called Magnus, and it is there's 3 pieces. We encourage you to come and explore them all.
Hi everyone, thanks you very much. I'm going to do a brief introduction of Anthology, which actually was celebrated last October during the celebration of the winter construction hiatus, and Lydia was amazing enough to pivot and get her piece installed 6 months early. So Lydia Kern is an artist who really got established in Burlington and only recently moved away to New York, which is a tragedy for the city. But as she made this wonderful piece called Anthology, which is a poured resin which encases hundreds of locally harvested and dried flowers. Her work focuses on remembrance and life, celebrating life events, both the good and the bad, is often done with flowers. So she naturally gravitates to something that is ephemeral and blooms for a little bit and then recedes. And was fascinated in the idea of encasing that, capturing that singular moment in a permanent stasis. So she put out the call across social media, Front Porch Forum, all of her friends, to come. She sat at this very spot every Friday night for 2 months in the summer. And the community came in and donated flowers and other small trinkets, if you look closely. And with each of those pieces, she got a little glimpse of a story vignette. There are flowers here from a friend's funeral. There's flowers that celebrate someone's wedding. There's tiny little silver bells. There's actually an I Spy list over here next to her plaque that you can have a whole treasure hunt of little wonderful memories encased in this piece. In the realm of her trying to capture the ephemeral moments, the transition of the color, the gradient, is meant to be reminiscent of so much of Lydia's experience of Burlington can be personified in sitting at the lake watching the sunset. So the rainbow color that we're seeing is meant to evoke the sunset and those brief moments of the day where you really feel that celebration in the place that you live and the community that you're a part of. So her piece, and it's also shaped as a door or a doorway, as emblematic of being a threshold moment or a transitional space from one place to another, which was why she was so interested in situating it at the foot of these stairs leading up into the park. People can move from the street through her work into the park and meet and sort of bridge those two worlds in a downtown urban setting. Lydia's very sad she couldn't be here, but hopefully I did her piece justice.
Did she live in Burlington for a long time?
Yeah. She grew up here and went to UVM and stayed here for 10 years afterwards. Her split her time between Grand Isle and she had a studio here on Pine Street the whole time, and was a great partner and artist to have in the community.
Love the idea that people brought the flowers to.
Yeah, it was sort of integral to her vision that it wasn't her providing a Burlington experience so much as her encasing other people's experience. Technique to get something like this done. There is a color gradient from top to bottom. She poured the panels at an angle, so between two different colors. So one color, it's more orange down here, and more red up here. So nope, one is set, and then you pour the next one, and then that's
tilted this way so you get thin layers.
Yeah, thin on one side. Yeah, it's a swimming pool, and then you do it the other way. Yeah.
So when you said she lived in an air-conditioned place, so she wouldn't have the fuel?
It needs to be a certain temperature the entire time. So last year it was really hot for like 10 days straight. So I remember visiting her in her studio, and her studio was like 110 degrees, but she just had this little 6x6 tent with an air conditioner sit in the back with these panels in the back. And yeah.
So what does it do? It gets cloudy. It gets cloudy.
Yeah.
Oh, it's setting too fast. Okay.
Yeah.
Could you say the name of the piece again, please?
Anthology by Lydia Kern. All right, I'll just get started. Thank you all very much. This is our third stop in our public art tour, and we'll be doing it again tomorrow at 1 or 12. I should know this. I don't know. Noon. Yeah. You would think I would know it. Nancy, unfortunately, has had a family emergency and had to call away this morning. I know she desperately wanted to be here, but I'm going to give a brief introduction to the her piece, and I know a lot of you have helped out with the piece, so are intimately related to it. This piece called Lake Bone, which features full-sized actual tree hovering over a local pollinator bed, was created as part of the Main Street project with the 4 other pieces up the street. It's a combination of sculpture and living landscape. Nancy is an artist that blends sculpture, landscape, ecology, and restoration into her work, focusing heavily throughout her career on salvaged natural materials, conservation projects, and community partners. And this piece is so emblematic of her working style. No one person did any piece on this monumental piece of public art. It really took a village to create it. This project is an example of environmental art that is simultaneously sculpture, habitat, an educational jumping off point, a civic landmark, and functional infrastructure. It is both a piece that has to do with the health of water systems and riparian river and stream ecosystems, as well as participating in the protection of those systems. As you can probably tell, Main Street right here is at an angle, and most of the street is an impervious surface, so as rain falls, it builds up momentum headed downhill. And Nancy loved the idea of incorporating her piece into one of the rain gardens that is meant to slow down that water as it steps downhill. So as you might see when you get up to the piece, the uphill section of her planting bed doesn't have a curb. And that allows water as it's coming down the sidewalk to enter her planting bed, both water the plants, but also is a very functional stopgap as to limit the speed and momentum of water going downhill, which can be so destructive. And as we saw both 2 Julys ago and 3 Julys ago, that it's protecting against floods and damage during heavy rain events. So it's both a piece that thematically calls these ideas to our mind, but also actively protects against it, as well as providing a pollinator habitat. So Nancy's often works in very minimalist terms. She tends to reduce very complex systems and ideas and concepts down to their most simple and approachable forms. And she did that both with the planting garden and the tree up above. Provide two very visceral, very monumental forms for people to explore these themes. This piece is also meant to blend two stories of Burlington. One is the history of Burlington, as well as its forward-facing what we should do in the future, but we can't do that without looking behind us. So Burlington got its first rail line in 1854, and once that happened, it kicked the logging industry in Vermont into high gear. Shortly thereafter, by 1880, and 80% of Vermont was deforested to make room for both lumber and to make room for sheep pasture. And most of that lumber in northern Vermont went out through Burlington, making it, I think, the third busiest lumber port in the entire country at the time. And all that lumber either floated downriver or left via the rail. So the lake and these large logs were so integral to Burlington's history for 50 to 75 years. And Nancy, we were given the unique opportunity of flipping that script. And when we made this piece, we had the rather dumb idea of connecting with the railroad and seeing if we could, instead of move a log out of Burlington, return a log to Burlington. And the Vermont Rail Systems was an amazing partner in this piece. And Nancy coordinated the train to stop at her studio in Charlotte. We loaded the train onto her piece and brought it via rail back and returned a tree to Burlington, which leads the piece into the second history that she's hoping to, looking back at what we've learned from the last 150 years in logging in the state, and push a new narrative that how integral this timber is to providing health for this state. And really furthering the conservation thinkers that have been integral to Vermont's history in the last 70 years. Sort of been through the runoff. The pollinator habitat was led by Be the Change, which I don't know if Tanya's here. There, I didn't see you. Hi, Tanya. I'd love it to turn it over to Tanya after I'm done a little bit and do a deeper dive into the pollinator habitat. I just know that Nancy's loved working with you in the past, and it was such an amazing partnership to work together to have the piece. That piece is so integral to the whole of Lake Bone, that it's coming down the hill, that to see this piece of driftwood hovering over the pollinator garden is so evocative of everything she wanted to say. Yeah, maybe I'm going to turn it over to Tanya right now, instead of, if you wouldn't mind speaking about the pollinator habitat.
Do you want me to use the microphone?
That would be great.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Tanya Kiernan. My husband, Mike, and I started Be the Change in 2015 when we decided that we wanted to be more involved in helping save our pollinators. Be the Change is a not-for-profit that we started at that time, and we first started with building habitat in solar arrays, thinking that that's a great space to kind of use as another place to establish pollinator habitat. And now we also do fun projects like with Nancy here in cities and towns and schools. And actually, Bee and Toby just slipped in here. They've been planting pollinator habitat all day up in Jeffersonville behind one of their town museum areas, or gallery, I should say, not museum, gallery. So they're hot and sweaty, but they put in some pollinator habitat today, and also were helpful in planting the pollinator habitat here under Lake Bone. What I'm hoping for this garden is that, along with Nancy's beautiful sculpture, it creates a destination for people to stop and just have a little look. Because what we've found is that when people will stop and look at a garden space, they kind of pick up some curiosity about what they're seeing. Ooh, what plant is that? And what is that insect that just went by? And so one of our goals is to really increase that pollinator stewardship and care for our natural environment, and what better way to do it than sparking your curiosity through a cool thing like this. So in the garden, we put in 194 plants. There are 6 different types of native grasses, and there are 30 different types of flowering plants. The goal with all pollinator habitat is to encourage lots of different types of pollinators to come in and check it out. And one of the first pollinators that we didn't have a lot blooming when we first put it in, but the little Penstemon digitalis that have these little tubular flowers, those were open. And we went to get some coffee, come back, and there the hoverflies, are already in there, already enjoying. And a little group of school kids went by, and they're like, "Oh, it's a garden!" Already a lot of joy and commotion, and the garden was a half an hour old. So I'm hoping that the collection of plants that we've chosen will bring a lot of different types of pollinators to the garden, lots of native bee species, and butterflies, flies in general, and some wasps. Not all of the yellow jackets and the hornets are not good ambassadors for the wasps as a group. There are actually a lot of cool wasps out there that are very important to how a pollinator habitat functions. So I hope as this garden matures and grows, it's going to kind of tickle the belly of the sculpture, and that there will be a lot of pollinator activity around the base. I guess that's what I have to say. If anybody has any questions for me, please just give a shout.
Thank you. And hello, I'm Jenny Patterson. I'm the executive director of the Lake Champlain Committee, and we're the other nonprofit partner that is working on the Lake Bone sculpture. We are a nonprofit that was formed in 1963. We engage in science-based advocacy to protect the health of Lake Champlain, and we run a lot of community science programs. So we have a lot of folks who are out doing monitoring for cyanobacteria and aquatic invasive species, and really just a lot of hands-on connections to nature. And so Andrew Milliken, Nancy's husband, has been one of our volunteers for a long time. They're supporters of our organization, and they reached out to us to see if we wanted to partner on this project. And this was so exciting because I think this sculpture and this project really epitomize a lot of the work that the Lake Champlain Committee really cares passionately about. So the idea really made us focus on trees to start. What role do trees, both living and dead, play in protecting water quality, in protecting habitat? And so we got pretty excited talking to Nancy and Andrew about the project, and we've actually set up a page on our website specifically to Lake Bone that talks a little bit more about the ways that trees and forest health are connected to water quality. So encourage folks to check it out. I've got a QR code here, and we also have Eileen Fitzgerald, our Education and Outreach Associate, who has done a lot of the research and writing associated with this. We also, you talked about stormwater. That's another issue that has been a big issue in focus, is the stormwater runoff over the impervious surfaces and ways to get involved in reduction, including the construction of rain gardens like the pollinator garden here. But it's also been really exciting for us to be involved just in the process of the sculpture and thinking about the history of the entire basin. So we do work throughout the Lake Champlain basin and thinking about 1852 when the railroads came in. Before that, Lake Champlain was the highway itself, and then we had the railroads. And I have ancestors who've been here on both sides of the lake back in the 1850s when that happened, and how their experience has changed and how central human impacts are on the lake, but also the potential that we have to improve the water quality. So Andrew was not able to be here today, but he shared a statement, and I just wanted to read a couple of pieces from it. So Andrew Milliken, Nancy's husband, had a long career with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, restoring and conserving habitats in the Lake Champlain Basin across the Northeast region and beyond. And so he is working with Nancy and Lorna on the Creative Conservation Collaborative, which has as a goal bringing together art and conservation and creating site-specific, nature-centric public art that increases awareness and support for conservation in the surrounding landscape and watershed. And he talks about how Lake Bone really highlights the importance of healthy forests in the watersheds of Lake Champlain, living in dead trees and driftwood in the riparian areas along the lake, and how that helps to maintain water quality. It slows the flow of floods and stormwater runoff and provides habitat. And again, the pollinator meadow highlights the importance of healthy and diverse pollinator plants to support native bees, other insects, and birds that depend on them. So again, there's a QR code on the sculpture itself where you can learn more about the Creative Conservation Collaborative, and you can also learn more about the work that the Lake Champlain Committee and Be the Change are doing. And I'm happy to answer any questions. So thank you for listening. And I don't know if this mic is on, but if you can't hear me, I'm sorry.
Does anyone have any questions about the piece? How heavy is it? About 10,000 pounds. Doesn't include the metal. Just the tree is 10,000 pounds. Yeah.
Very exciting to see it coming up in the parade.
Nancy Winship Milliken, Lake Bone.